Hello friends, welcome back to our YouTube channel. And in our previous lecture on the C programming, we have already looked at the basics of the programming in our previous three lectures, and we have studied in our recently the previous lecture, and it was about the constants, variables, and data types. And in this video, we will implement these data types, variables, and the constants in the actual programming. And first, we will need an IDE for the C programming so that we can write our program in the compiler. And what I will recommend you to download an IDE, not a compiler, because most of the students use the Turbo C++ when they start programming, but it gets hang every time you run a program, and it looks really very bad. If you can see it looks an older type CMD prompt. So I will not recommend you that. Just download any IDE. You can download Dev C++ or Code Blocks, and here my favorite is Dev C++, and you can download code blocks it anywhere. So I will download the Dev C++. Just open up the browser and type the Dev C++. Here we have the Dev C++. Click on any link here. You can download it here, or you can download it either here. So here you have to click on the download, and it might take few seconds to download. Actually I like the Dev because it is really very good. It gives a lots of themes, and the text style is. So here it is downloading. Now I will cancel it because I already have it, and let's get started. Let's install the Dev C++. Here is the Dev C++. On it and click yes. Here it's unpacking, and it will get installed after a few seconds. It may take a few minutes, 2-3 minutes, but it does not take a long time. So we will click next, and here you will click install. It might take few minutes here, 1 or 2 minutes, but let us just wait for that. Now here is the next step. It shows that do you want to run Dev C++. I will click finish, and yes, I will run it. Here is my link, Dev C++. It is the shortcut. It does not actually show the shortcut arrow because I have removed that, but here it is actually the shortcut. The setup file is here, so you have to double click on the shortcut. Don't click on this because it will show you again the installation process. So let's get started, and let's write our first program. So what you have to do is just in here you can either change the styles. Here you have tools, you have here editor options, and you can change the fonts, colors, snippets, anything you want. But if in this lecture we have to discuss about the programming. Let's write our first program and let's see how it works. So I will click in new source project file, or you can click in here and you can click in new source file. So let's write here our first program. And in first we have to do is we have to link our library. What library actually is, we already might have studied about that, but I don't actually remember what a library is. These are the files. These are the actual functions that we apply to our the variables, the constants, to our data, which we are storing in our programs, and we implement that data in our programs using the functions. So the functions are actually stored in a library. So if you want to use a function, you have to import that library. So let's see what libraries are must when you want to start the program. Here first you have to write #include. What #include is, it is the header file. We call them header files, and the header file, it includes, it says to the compiler, these are the preprocessor directives, and they say to the computers that you have to include this library. And in the angle brackets we write the name of the libraries. Like we have the studio.h, stdio.h. It is the basic library that you have to import every time if you are using the main function. Our main function of the program is included in the studio.h. So studio.h is suppose it is the locker of a library, and it contains certain functions that works as a books. So you have to choose the book. So you have to go to the locker, and you will choose a book in that locker, and that locker is stored in the library. So these are all the libraries, and this studio.h, it is the locker, and .h means it is a header file, and it contains main is the book. What main is actually, we will write the main here. Let's write int main. What int is here? Int is, it is the return type, and you will learn that in the functions. Here you have to write it, just write the int, and at the end of the program we will write return value. So here it is the main, and I will write this. So it's the main. That's the functionality that I like from the dev C++, when you type one and the another will come by default. And here is the main. The main is a function, like it's a book you wanted to read, and every time you have to import this, you have to use it in the program. Without the main, the program will not run. It's a function. So all the concept of the functions you will study, it will be it will be included in the functions topic. So here we will not discuss too much. We will say that int is the return type, main is a function that is stored in the studio.h, and it works as a book, and this works as a locker for that main, and this is a locker in the library, and we call them library, we call it the file library, and .h is means it is the header file. The studio is the header file here. So now in our main program, what we will write is, we will write this studio function also contains certain input output functions. And what is the output function? We will write here the first program, hello world, where every programmer should start. I think every programmer starts from that. So I will write printf hello world, and I will run. First we have to save the program, and we'll save it. I'm gonna save it on the desktop, and I'm gonna click it on hello.c. I'm gonna minimize my the IDE, and I will see here I have the file hello.c, and it has a small c on it. That means it is a C source file. What source file is? Source file is a file that contains all the instructions of the program to implement by the compiler. So now compiler will run it. So here is what compiler I am using is, it's the GCC 64-bit release. It is the GCC compiler. Let's run this program, and I'm gonna click here run. You can either execute the program first, you have to compile it, then you have to run it, or we can do both, compile and run. And here we have the shortcuts for it. It's the compile, it's the run, and it is the both compile and run. So let's run it. I'm gonna click this button here. So here you can see here's our file. It is an .exe file, and you can see every system software ends with every setup file of a software ends with the .exe. And if we see the properties, it is an exe. That means it is a system software file. So what it contains is, it contains an instructions to print the hello world text here. So now what we have to do, if we click enter here, it will exit the program. And now we have seen how it is compiled. Now let's create another program, and let's see what variables and constants are. Here you have to click a new source file. Now I already have created it, and again you have to include the library so you can use it. I'm gonna use studio again because it is the important library that you have to use all the time. Let's create int main. Here I will use what variables are. We have already talked about the variables. It is actually a named memory location. It is a memory location which we give a name, and in that memory location we stored a value, and the value is dependent on the data type of the variable. Suppose if we are creating here the variable int, the semicolon is important at the every end of this line. If you forget this, it will give you an error and the program will not run. So now we already have learned about the rules, how to create a variable. A variable should not start with a number or any special symbol, and special symbols are not included in the variable names except the underscore. You can use underscore like this here, like this. So this is a valid variable name, but you cannot enter a digit at the beginning of our number. It's gonna show you an error. So now this is our variable, and what it does is it makes a memory location in the memory, and it puts the name to that memory location as variable 1. So after that the memory location is still empty. So when we give it a value, we have to initialize this, and we will create a is equal to int variable 1 equals to 10. So now that memory location contains variable, that variable memory location contains 10. The value is 10, and this 10 is dependent on the integer value because I have given the data type integer, and we already have studied about the data types. And integer is a data type, character is a data type. If I have to insert the character, I will write here the char, and I will write here one character. into these commas, and let's suppose it's going to be a, so it will store a. If I write b, it will not store it because these are two characters, as character stores only one. So let's go back to the integer type and let's create here the value 10. So now we have the variable 10, and let's print this variable value. And how we can print it, we already have studied the printf function. And let's say first you have to put the %d, and then after we will write the variable name. Here it is the %d and it's the variable 1. So if we run this program, it is gonna print the value. So let's save the program and let's put it the variable, and I'm gonna store it on the desktop. Make sure you are using it .c, you are putting .c at the end, or you may choose here the C file. So let's click here and let's save it as C. So now it is saved, and we can compile it. Here it shows the compilation progress. You can wait here, errors are 0, warnings are 0. Now we can run our program. The compilation time, it took 5.20 seconds. Let's run our program. Here it is, the value is 10. Now we have printed our value. Now what it does is it tells to the compiler that the %d is used as the integer. So %d, that integer, you have to print an integer. Actually this is the string that actually prints system. So like we print the hello world, we can print here that hello world. So if we print here the hello world, it will print it, and it will print the space, and then it will print the value. So the %d tells it that here in this place you have to print a value in this place. So it will print hello, then it will print world, and then it will put a space in between them, and it will print the value, because it tells to the compiler that after this line it is a string up to here all. So it is going to print all this value. But in here %d means you have to print a value in here. What is that value? Then we put a comma and we write the name of that value, what we have to print. So if I write here 10, it will print the 10, but then it will give an error that you are giving a variable 1 here. It should not be here. So here I have to write the %d. That means a variable value should be printed here, and that variable name is here. So that's why in this program, if I compile and run it again, it will show me the hello world, and it will show the value of this variable. Here you can see hello world and 10. So these are called the specifiers. Access specifier is the name of these. And if you have a character type, then you can write C, and you can write I in place of integer 2. And if you want to print the memory location, the address of that memory location where this variable 1 is stored, the variable took actually 4 bytes. And if we print the value of that, suppose you want to print its memory location where it is stored, then you can write print %d same, or you can put %i, but you have to put the AND here, because this AND works as an address. So what it is going to do is it is going to print the address of the location. So if we run this program, save this program again, and let's run it. It might take few seconds, and here is our 648720 and 8. This is the memory location where our this variable is stored. This variable in the hard disk RAM is stored at this location. Why it is in RAM this time? Because the program is executing and it is actually in the process. So this is a process, every process stored in the primary memory. So now you know about that. Let's create a constant. What constants are? Like we have seen that the variable changes, we can change the value of the variables. If you write here the int a, let's say this is a variable, and if you put its value as 10, you can write in the next line that a is equal to 40. So now it will change the value of the a, and it will put a 40 in that place. But if we will talk about the constants, that will not happen. We have studied about the two types of the constants. First is the symbolic constant, and another is constant variable. So what symbolic constant is, we define it in the top, at the top of the program with the header files. We do hash define write the hash define and put the name of the value. Let's suppose c is our constant and we give the value 34. Now c is our constant and 34 is its value. No equality, hash define c and 34 is the value, so it is going to be a constant. So now if we do here, we can print it here. We can say %d and we might write here the c is the capital C, so we will save the program and we'll compile and run it. Now here, without any errors and warnings, we have here our output is 34. So now let's try to change the value of this constant. Let's see, c is equal to 89. Now I have changed the values of this c. It is now 89. Let's see what compiler does. We will save the program and we'll compile it again. Here it shows value required as left operand of assignment. Actually this is an error. L value required. So you can't change this value here. So now let's do once more. Let's write a constant variable. This was the symbolic variable. Here we'll write the constant variable. How constant variables are made? You have to write const, const, const. Now its color is turned into the pink. In your when you are installing the dev C++ first time, you might have some another color in. These are called the keywords. The pink color, they are all keywords. That means you cannot put a constant as a variable name. Suppose if I will write here the char character, it is the data type, then I will write int. Int is in the place of variable. I can't do that because that's illegal and it will give me an error. So let's say const. You cannot use these keywords for any usage. They are useless because they are special characters and they have their own usage. So constant, const tells the compiler that it is a constant. So we will write int 78 and we'll save it. No, first we're gonna print it and we'll see how %d, and let's write here, oh sorry, I didn't write a name of this. Let's save f equals to control save and let's compile it. Here zero errors and warnings. Now the value is 78. Let's try to change the value of this variable and let's write f is equal to 987 and store value. Any value you can put. Now let's recompile the program and here it shows the error, assignment of read only variable. So it is the read only variable, you cannot write it. So these are called the constants that we cannot change the value of, and we already have seen the variables. And you can make a global variables and global constants, but you have to create them on the top. After the header files, you can create the global variables like this, int a. So this is going to be a global variable, or you can see const int r. These are the global variables. So global variables are what you can use everywhere in the program, but if you have this, it's a local variable. That means it can be useful only in between the two parentheses in which it is declared. But if we declare it outside the main or outside any function, we can use it everywhere in the program. So that was it for this tutorial, and see you in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.